Good afternoon, beautiful people around the world. Today I have a special, very, very, very special guest, and you have no idea who. Of course, Joe Russo. Many people knows Joe Russo. Yeah, I know you have a history behind. So I would like to say welcome to us, to our show.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to the questions you will ask me.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to you for accepting my invitation. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. Yeah, I had the honor to meet Teacher Joe this year. Even many of you maybe knows him from so many years, but only this year I met him. So it's such an honor and pleasure. Believe me, it's a gift for me and a gold. And I will tell you why. Because I I always look and observe Teacher Joe talking and teaching people, and probably many of you think that Teacher Joe is more serious, more. Yes, it is, but I see the man behind of a teacher. So he's not only teaching English, but he's teaching more than English. He's teaching about life. And if he's serious, it's because of us. He really wants to help. So it's a real person, a real teacher, not just a fake one, as we see a person who's just promoting himself. Anyway, I want to know from Teacher Joe, who is Joe Russo?
Wow. Who is Joe? Wow. That's powerful question. Joe is his own individual. When he sets his mind to something, we might call them goals, he gives everything he has to achieve it. I cannot sit here and tell you Joe reaches every goal that he sets. However, the few that he did set, he's reached the pinnacle of success. You know, it's not easy to pat us on the back because some may say, he's just building up his ego. But I can tell you that during the desire to reach a certain level, there have been setbacks, whether it be financial setbacks or whether it be human setbacks. And you people have really no idea what I might be referring to when I say human. But life is a struggle, and we need to keep going. I haven't touched on who is Joe. One small example, and it doesn't do me justice. Let me share with you to please consider asking the next question, because either I go on forever or I force myself to stop. And this is a good point to stop.
Go on.
Go on.
Yes,
Mamma
it's a
mia.
pleasure to listen to you. Mamma mia.
You know, the first thing that happened to cross my mind after you told me to go on is many of you people have grown up with friends you live in the same town or city, and you go to school with the same people throughout your life. Whether you consider this good or bad, not able to do that. I was forced because of my father's responsibility and job to move every year. That in itself turned out to be an excellent experience. Anybody, anywhere, anytime about many different subjects, including living in different countries. How many can say that? They will tell you they visited Italy for 1 week, but that's not living there, and that's not getting used to the people. The experiences did not last just my childhood. Even to this day, at various times in the year, I could be in a different country. Who is Joe? Joe loves change. Joe thrives on living in other parts of the world, even if it's for a year. And I have. I could share with you that I have lived in Germany for 15 years, learned to speak German. Kann ich auch Deutsch sprechen, wenn ich wollte? I can speak German when I want to. First 2 years of high school was in Naples, Italy, on American military high school, we call it. Last 2 years of high school was in an international school in Athens, Greece. I spent 4 years in the United States going to a university. Now, let me stop here for a moment and go in a different direction, because the story I will tell you now has a powerful impact on what took place at the university. Now, because of my father's responsibility overseas at the school level, I will share with you that every 2 years, the government, federal government, United States government, paid for the family to return to the home of record, which was East Boston, Massachusetts, where my father was from. And it was at that point, usually lasting a month, that we were there, saying hello to all of the relatives. People would come from all different parts of the United States to say hello to my father and his children and my mother. And they were all new to me. But my brother, that's not true. My father had a brother, and my uncle had a food store. Now, it was at the food store that I began to realize that life is about to hit me, and hit me hard. Now, you might wonder how a food store could teach me such powerful lessons. And there were a number of them. And now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever shared this with too many people. One instance was now mind you, I'm just out of I'm still in high school. One time I'm standing around the food store. Imagine a rectangular store, shelves all the way around it, probably 3 or 4 shelves high. And there was an area where the customer could put anything they wanted to buy on a flat table where we had the adding machine. A chest was next to the table where there were cold cuts, ham, salami, mortadella, and so forth. And our job come back on. Okay. And my responsibility was to get some of the products that the older people might not be able to carry to the counter, cut the cold cuts for the customer, and just make small talk because they usually come to the store, Italian backgrounds, and simply talk. Of course, for these people coming from overseas, I was of great interest to them. But there was one day when it was my uncle and I'm basically standing around, no customers are in the store. And he said to me, and I can remember his words even to this day. And if I think about it, it probably, without exaggeration, had to be at least 60 years ago. And I'm not that old. I want to make that clear. He said to me, Joey, they always put that Y at the end of the word to demonstrate they are still older than you and you're just a kid. Joey, what are you doing? And I said to my uncle, Uncle, there's nothing to do. He said, nothing to do. Go in the back room and get the broom and sweep the floor. Now, the floor was clean. It was a wooden floor, wasn't that wide. You only had enough room for the customers to basically go to the milk chest, get the milk, take 3 or 4 steps and go to the counter and place it on top and clean it. And when you're done, go outside and sweep the sidewalk. Make it look good. And after that, clean the gutter of the road. Wow. So I did. And do it every day. And I did. It was right then and there that I began to understand standing around is not the answer. Week later passes, and my uncle said to me, Joey, what are you doing? Uncle, I swept the floor. I cleaned the sidewalk. It's all clean. And there's no trash in the gutter. I'm done. Joey, you see the shelves around the wall? Take the top shelf, start there, and take all the cans off. go in the back, get the ladder, fill it with, get a bucket, fill it with water, and clean the shelves. Dust off the cans and put them back. And you do that with every item on the shelves. There's always something to do. And I realized from that experience, I am not going to stop. Always something to do. Now, you might say it's a simple lesson, and we are always taught lessons in our life. But how many of us take this lesson and extend it into the real world? That's the difference between somebody that listens to advice, adheres to the advice, and uses it for a lifelong lesson. And I turned out to be one of those people. Let me explain further. Now it's the first day of the university where we could sign up for classes. Now, I'm a freshman, first year student. My time to sign up was on Friday because we had Wednesday as basically a day off. So Monday, the seniors, fourth year students, got to sign up for their classes. Tuesday, juniors, Wednesday, day off. Thursday was the sophomores, second year students. And me being a freshman on Friday. I wasn't going to sit around waiting for my turn. Now, we can argue, Joe, you're not following directions, or we can argue, that's interesting what you did. So I go on Monday and I'm a young kid. I'm going up to the table where they had the different subjects in the quad. Quad was an area on campus outside, but there were 4 buildings that we called classrooms, classroom buildings, and they had all the tables set up for every subject. All you had to do is basically go to the table and sign up. Now, imagine a piece of paper with Monday on it, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And just for the sake of arguing, let's say it started at 7 o'clock, then at 8 o'clock, 9, 10, and so forth until 7 o'clock at night. So I went up to the first table because I knew I needed that subject for my major. And I told them I need this class. And they said, well, what year are you in? 4th year student. They said, do you have your ID? I said, I'm sorry, I just transferred in. They're still making it at the admin office, administration office, or registrar's office, or whatever it was. And they said, okay, what do you want? Well, I need this subject here. And I did that for every single table. Now, I am an elementary school major. That was my degree. And I ended up looking at this paper where I had filled in my class times. And I looked at it and I said to myself, my uncle told me to keep busy. And there's too many white spots. I'm not doing anything. Now, I had my, if I remember correctly, 18 credits. 6 subjects, 3 credits each, minimum, maximum, 18 subjects, 18 credits, 6 subjects. And I said, I'm not doing anything in that area. So I need to major study something else. So I picked something called special education, working with students that have learning disabilities. Okay. I went around again and I got my 6 classes, 18 credits, and I'm looking at the paper. It's not even half filled up. I might have had 4 classes on Monday. I might have had 3 on Tuesday. It was ridiculous. My uncle said to keep busy. And I said I would for the rest of my life. So I thought to myself, what am I going to do? I'm not sitting around doing nothing. I decided I would major in something called physical education. I've always wanted to be a teacher of physical education too. So I went around and I got my 18 credits, 6 classes, and then I looked at the paper and said, yeah, that's pretty good. And I got all my classes with the seniors on Monday. I'm ready. Okay. Now, the moral of the story is to keep busy. I cried a lot. I even called home when they were living in, I believe it was Greece. And I complained that, this is hard. And each professor gave a lot of work. This was not a fly by night university. Nevertheless, I passed. Average grades, I passed. The second year, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I understand the system. I know I have to be dedicated, and I was dedicated student just to get average grades. In fact, if I ever got a B, because in the American system it's A, B, C, C is average, D, poor, and F, you failed. So if I ever got a B, there must have been some mistake because I never get B's. Never. But I was thrilled. Never got an A, of course, but and I studied 3 majors. Okay, so then the following year, sophomore, I became the class president of the university. And mind you, I'm just an average student with the desire to work hard and don't stop. I became the sports editor. I've never written anything in my life, but I felt good. I did well, and people read the articles. I couldn't believe it. I began to realize the world is not a difficult place. You can survive. At least from my point of view, it was the dedication to working and not stopping. There's always something to do. Okay. After the university, I could talk about the representative's position that I held as a junior and senior, 3rd year and 4th year instead of president. It was a little less work, but I had other things to, concentrate on, like school work. I could talk about afterwards, I taught every grade level, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We have self-contained classrooms where we work with the students in all subjects except art, music, physical education, and in this case, Italian, that we send them out to specialists. Always got involved with the school, so that's not a problem. But during my spare time after school, and believe me, I have to mention, I wasn't a teacher that went home at the end of the day. I lived in school until it was coffee break in the afternoon with other teachers, or I went home to eat dinner. Okay, so now what else did I do? Living off of the military base, I often refereed many different sports. I arrived at the military base when I was a young man, and I realized very quickly that I would prefer to referee than take part in some of these activities. So I studied. I read the rule book every single moment I may have had free at home. Don't laugh. When I was in the bathroom, great time to be reading, great time to be studying, a lot of wasted time in there, if you know what I mean. So now I become a referee in high school sports. We call it high school federation rules. All the rules are a little bit different, but nevertheless, it's still, I refereed basketball, men and women, boys and girls. I refereed high school volleyball, high school wrestling, and I'm pretty proud of it. 3 sports. I was the referee on the military base for high school sports for 25 years. Okay. And these sports are all at different times during the year, mostly on Saturday and Sunday with high school sports. The military loves sports. It's a stress reliever, and they play NCAA sports. Those are a little bit different, and I refereed men and women basketball, a little bit different rules, volleyball, military tackle football, and flag football. You need to know the rules. And if that wasn't enough, because Joe needs to keep busy, I refereed FIBA basketball. Now, the entire world plays FIBA basketball, FIBA rules, except the Americans that play NBA, NCAA, High School Federation. And the Philippines, many people don't know this, the universities play NCAA because the Americans came to the Philippines and taught them the different sports. And to this day, they still play NCAA. Interesting. My point is that I started refereeing FIBA basketball at a low level, then the men's level, women too, and then I ended up reaching the national level in FIBA basketball, the only American to do so. So I'm using the skills, I'm using the conversation that my uncle told me about to keep busy in various areas so that I could excel. And I wanted to excel. I tried. You know, you could argue, well, you didn't get too high in NCAA. You know, I didn't get to do the top 10 in the United States universities. I get it, but I'm overseas in Italy. I couldn't. The point is, I didn't stop. If all that doesn't interest you, you know, in reference to me, I became a big investor. Now, I'm sitting here thinking, how much do I tell you? All it takes is reading. You read a number of different books and magazines. We didn't have internet in those days. You will realize they are all saying the same thing. You make the right investments, you will have unbelievable wealth tomorrow. There's a phrase in the financial world that sticks in my mind even to this day, and it's time, many, many years, and they refer to time, years, many, many years, plus money, plus money equals financial success. And I tell you, people, it works. It works. You have a school teacher making a Department of Defense salary, and the salary is excellent, who invested, and it's staggering what happens. Let's jump to the retirement years where I am now in the Philippines. I'm here in the Philippines as I speak. I have a fan blowing, ice cold water on the table, and I'm sweating. But what interests me is to finish this topic. Here in the Philippines, I took part of the investments and I built 3 apartment buildings. Yes, 2 of them are 4 floors with 12 apartments in one, 5 in the other, and I live in a huge, huge house, 3rd and 4th floor, overlooking the entire bay. I mean, it's magnificent. I wish I could lift this up right now, but I have that curtain on my right, basically blocking the sun from coming in, and of course, the view. What else do I have? Townhouses, row houses, more land that I even want to mention, farmland, lots that could be sold in the future. We're raising pigs. We have sows, female pigs, on 1.5 hectares. We have the male bull, chickens, fish pond on another 1 point something hectares. We have vegetables, fruit trees, more chickens on another one. You know, we have caretakers. It's impressive. And that's what you can do if you dedicate your goal, your life, to achieving something. Now, many people can argue money's not everything, and so what? I get it. That's up to you. This worked for me. What works for you is whatever you set your mind to it. But what is it that's going to motivate you to keep going and do more, if that's your goal? And if it isn't, fine. It's your life. I cannot control it or tell you what to do, and I don't want to. You know, having shared this again is a drop in the bucket. I could talk about, I taught for 2 years, 1 year each, Nanjing University, Shanghai University, being educator, teaching the methodologies of education, not English. What's really cute is they said to me in both places, don't speak Mandarin. And I assured them I don't know one word in Mandarin. And they said, good. So I'm speaking English. I taught in the university in Bahrain 1 year, everything 1 year, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Turkey, building principal of the British International School in Kurdistan, Iraq. I told them I don't have an admin degree. I made it clear to the owner face to face, even when I mentioned it online. I don't want to get in trouble, but they said, doesn't matter, we want you. And I just got back from Iraq, September and October of last year, traveling around. The Iraq government brought me, traveling around teaching the latest methodologies to the public school teachers. I don't stop. And I'm getting bored now here at home. So, just for the fun of it, last month I applied for a teaching position at the elementary school of the high school in Athens, Greece, that I graduated from. And they've accepted me. And so I'm pretty proud about that. And just in case they don't take me, just today, I applied for a teaching position, and I I'm excited about that. So let's see what happens. This way I have choices. But going back to Greece, eating the Greek food, especially the Greek salad, fresh tomatoes, feta cheese. I, I'm attracted by food.
Wow. Wow.
Nelutsa, that's just a small
Yeah.
topic about Joe.
You are a book. And I'm just enjoying listening to you. All your stories from childhood with Joey and get busy always. It's just wow.
Yes, and you know, Nelutsa, we have a very small group of members that are practicing English. My dedication to it is there. You see me online, you see me correcting, you see me making corrections on the words they use. You know, I'm dedicated to helping. And that's just me. Even if I had
Yeah,
something else to do, I can't wait to get back and help.
yeah, and I would like to say thank you for that because I'm in the group and I'm proud of that. I will teacher join his group. It's an honor. Yeah. Um, you told us that
I'm sweating.
you yeah, understand.
I'm sweating. Not because of the talk. It's hotter than hell.
Mm, okay. As you mentioned before that you travel around the world, I would like to ask you what is your favorite country and why?
You know, this could get me in trouble, but without a doubt, every country that I have lived in has its advantages and things are different. And I get that and I understand that. And you have to adapt. You can't control anything, you just adapt. And you have no right to make any suggestions at the government level. It's not your country, you're visiting. But I love Italy without a doubt. The people are wonderful, plenty of historical sites, like in many countries. The food is excellent. And it reminds me of my mother's cooking when we were growing up. You could go anywhere in that country and never have a bad meal. Never have I been disappointed. You could go to the United States, and I've been there many times, and eat Italian food. Doesn't come close to the real Italian food. The restaurant has the Italian name, but it doesn't come anywhere near the Italian food. And I know why, because it's the vegetables and everything is not grown in Italy. And they use fresh everything. I love Italy. And it helps to speak the language, and I can speak Italian very well.
So, what's your favorite words? Yeah, favorite words in Italian language.
Well, I like the word mamma mia. I like that word, you know. Favorite food, pasta, pasta, pizza, excellent. And you know, I'm not one of these people that likes, look, I'll eat anything, but margarita pizza, fresh cheese, tomatoes, I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. Calzone pizza. It, as for Italian words, you know, a simple word like ciao, you know, ciao. The Italians really use arrivederci, but ciao,
Mhm.
you know, you kind of Americanize it, and you say it in the Italians shake hands with one another. You know,
Mm.
I've been in countries where you don't make physical contact. Middle Eastern countries, you know, you do your own thing there. I, you learn the customs pretty well. But favorite words, mamma mia, ci vediamo, uh, allora, allora, hey, you know, hey, uh, not many, but
Yeah, I know in Italy, in Italian language, to make the difference between "I love you," I mean a real "I love you" to your partner when you say these things to your partner or to your friend are different expression. You say "ti amo" and "ti voglio bene." Is that true?
bravo. That's right. I was just going to mention exactly the same words. Exactly. Ti voglio bene, ti amo. That's right.
Yeah. So in this
Ti
situation,
voglio
people are not.
tanto bene. Ti voglio
Yeah,
tanto bene. I love you very much.
yeah. So in this case, people are not getting confused to whom you say "I love you" and what kind of "I love you" is, as in English.
Right. You know, you bring up a good point. You know, you do. There are Italian, I can't begin to diagram every Italian word, but they do have your polite words that you might use to people you don't know and respect, and then your casual words that you can talk to your friends easily. And yeah. Well, that's true.
Yeah. Oh, and now, yeah, I have another question because as I know you travel around the world, I'd like to know how you deal with people. As time you belong to another culture and they belong to another culture. How you are dealing with them? I mean, as time you don't you have a different mindset.
Well, if you mean deal with them when it comes to talking, um,
Yes.
there's look, when you meet someone and you're drinking a cappuccino in Italy or you're drinking it in Poland because it reminds you of Italy. But the point is that I will be the one that has the cappuccino in my hand and I see one person, an adult, sitting at a table by themselves. And even though there's plenty of tables, I will ask if I can sit here and I will strike up a conversation with them in seconds. And that's true when you're on the airplane. If you don't strike up a conversation, a small conversation with the person sitting next to you, you know, you have a problem. You're going to be with them for 14 hours. Um, you can basically ask open-ended questions to that person, and if they respond, then you're off. You can, you know, as a teacher who continuously talks, you know, and not afraid to talk, it's an endless conversation if you want it to be, and talking is not difficult. It really isn't. You talk, you listen, ask questions, and you can go in any direction you want. And then when the cappuccino is finished, you both go in your own separate ways. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
Yeah, but how we connect with them? Because um, during of
Yeah.
those years, I observed so many people fighting with each other because of the religion or because of the culture. So
Yeah.
always, I'm trying to understand how we
Well,
connect with them.
yeah, you know something? Connection from what you're sharing with me now, and this is my interpretation, there's, let's say there's a scale of 1 to 10. You're not connecting with them in that short period of time at a 10 level or anything above 5. You're connecting with them at a superficial level, 1 or 2, because you realize it's going to be a very short conversation. You're there to drink the cappuccino and say hello. At the same time, if you're dealing with people that you may be involved with many times during the week, you feel comfortable, then you start to establish some serious, what, how do you say it, personality, uh, emphasizing what you believe. You could disagree. If you're willing to accept it, you're still friends, and you move on from there, or you ignore the topic. But short bursts of knowing people is not going to get you at that number 10 level or above 5, in my opinion. You're just meeting them. You know, I remember reading 100 years ago that we could ask an open ended question to start. For example, Trump was accused of everything that he did, 43 counts against him, something to that effect, 34, 43. How do you feel about that? Whoa. Now you're getting her or his opinion on Trump, the judicial system, and his beliefs when it comes to politics, or her beliefs. So, that's a powerful question. But you normally don't do that when you just meet someone. But you could. It all of a sudden is a shock for them that they have to express how they feel.
Yeah, because people usually, I mean, usually people they have three faces. The first face is about myself, the faces which my friends knows me, and the face which people knows me usually. And let's say the fourth one, the real face, what I'm having, but I'm not sharing, maybe, or maybe I'm sharing. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I get it. I get it, but I don't have time to play those. I call everything a game. I don't have
yeah,
time to play those games. I can't keep track. I have enough problems remembering what happened a few hours ago, or during our
exactly.
conversation. I want to share something. I forget what it is. And I have to
True.
now wear 4 different masks and try to impress someone. I can't do that. I
Wow.
do. I will say this, and many people may agree that there are some cultures. I've had it happen to me when I was teaching at the university in the Middle East. The boys would be on one side, the girls would be on a. The curtain just fell. Let me fix it.
Okay.
I apologize. The boys are on one side in the Middle East, the girls on the other side. I found the girls to be more serious, and then the boys will raise their hand and say, "Teacher, what religion are you?" And I'm in shock. We're not talking about religion.
Mm-hmm.
And these are teachers, students that want to be teachers. we're talking about this objective. Teacher, what religion are you? And I say jokingly, but at the time I have that face, and I'll say, son, you and a few of your friends are going to be in some serious trouble. May I make a suggestion? And they'll say, teacher, what? What? You need to think very seriously of buying a camel and a shovel, and you and your friends take a ride out in the desert and start digging for oil because you're not going to pass my class. And we laugh. And then they say to me, teacher, we will pass. And I said, how do you figure that? My father has a lot of money. He will visit the dean, make a donation to the school, and I will pass. And I began to realize that's how life is over there. They don't care, and they have the wealth to move them to the next level, which, by the way, if you go to school in these countries that I mentioned, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the government gives you money for every month you're in school. So
Oh,
they know how to succeed. But my point is, I respect other people's religion. I won't even talk about it because in America, whatever you believe is up to you. And if we
yeah,
happen to be going to the same church or congregation or whatever it is, then we could talk about it. But that's the last thing I'm going to ask somebody. And I'm sure not going to bring up politics because
yeah,
living outside of a military base, they warn you and they train you and they teach you not to get involved with the politics or talk to the locals about it. We can argue it's good or bad, but why? It's not your country and you have no business influencing their politics.
yeah, exactly.
So I'm not going to
It's,
do it.
it's, Thank you. And now I have, let's say, the last question because I know you are busy and you want to be busy as your
No,
uncle.
no, I love it. No, I love it. We can keep going. I'm not busy. I'm doing nothing. Nothing with my life. That's
Busy.
why there's, when you're doing something constructive, and it could be reading or listening to your music, I get it. You feel good. You're learning something or teaching. And believe me, I'm not. I will go back to the Facebook group and read and try to motivate by talking to people. Miss Tanya and I had a wonderful conversation. I was impressed today, and I posted the video, the second video. The first one didn't work. We had a anyway. What's the next
Congratulations.
to the last question?
Ah, would you like to guess what is the question?
Yes, love. About love. What is Nalusa's favorite topic? Look, since you're here, I would like to jump in and say this.
Yes.
On one of my flights, I can't remember if it was going to Europe or coming back. On one of my flights, I watched a movie, and I was going to tell you about this before, and the movie was about love. Now, let me explain.
Okay.
The movie blew me away with the storyline. It was a young man and a young woman who made an agreement that nothing negative would come out of their mouth against one another. They would the gist of the movie, the gist of it, which is the main topic, is they would trust each other 100% unconditionally. They wouldn't think a bad topic. And if they did, we didn't recognize it, they didn't share it, everything out of their mouth would be positive. Hypothetically, if the male said, I'm sorry, I have to go out and get something, not a problem. If the woman said, I'm sorry, I need to go here, no questions asked other than maybe have a safe trip or whatever it is. I was blown away that these two individuals could come together and trust each other this way. Now, let me stop and share something else with you that you don't realize. In the late 60s, I believe it was. That's not true. In the 70s, let's go with 70s. Again, I believe it was. There was an experiment that was done in the United States, if I remember correctly. And Dad had brought home the 16 millimeter film that he had access to at the military library. Now, why it was in there, I don't know, but nevertheless. And this film talked about, I believe it was called the Herod experiment. Herod. And the people that did the research got, again, the numbers slipped my mind, 6 men and 6 women, and put them together in an apartment, each one separate, and said, make it work. Make it work. And if I remember correctly, 5 of the 6 made it work. They had families and whatever. Now, I'm not an expert on this experiment, but if 2 people want to make it work, I can, at least from my point of view, I can confidently say it will work. It will work. If you start with the questioning, doubt, unnecessary looks, bad looks, you're asking for trouble, in my opinion. People need their freedom. People need to share honestly, whether it be good or bad, and just move forward. We have too much temptation in this world, and we want to experiment, and that's the beginning of problems, in my opinion. Now, I was going to tell you something else before, but I can't remember what it was, which is normal. And I feel bad because unless you say a word or two and it'll come back. But the Herod experiment, it will work.
Yeah, I was just curious about that movie, what you just shared it before. I mean,
I I hope you, I will look for it too, but I can, that's the name that's in my head, the Herod experiment.
mm, wonderful.
And there are
Yeah,
psychiatrists and psychologists that are always experimenting with groups of people. I get it, but if you want it to work,
no, sure. But what's your own definition of love?
look, you know, when you were talking about this in a previous video with
Mm,
Mr. Stone and Abdul and Miss
yeah,
Alexandria, who I met before. Um, okay, okay. Now, this is heavy. and it's up for disagreement. I mean, you can
Of
disagree.
course, it's
Um,
your opinion.
yeah, look, in don't laugh, but when we referee and there's two referees that blow the whistle at the same time, at least we think it's the same time. We come together, we talk which person had the first whistle, and then we talk about location of the foul and the referee that's closest. So in an event, we have two referees blowing the whistle at the same time. We sure don't want the referee that's a million miles away making the decision. The referee that's in the right position should make the call. Okay. So, having said that, for whatever reason, humans were on this earth, and there was, from my opinion, I don't know for sure, but there was no marriage. Humans were available to each other for whatever reason, anytime they want. All of a sudden, we have these great religions. Again, we're talking about religion and who came up with this. In my simple opinion, we can argue this all day, and I can argue with myself. Some gifted people, and we have gifted people today that are very knowledgeable about many different things. And these gifted people that survived 30, 40, 50,000 years ago, whatever the case is, who came up with these religions and documented it and were excellent storytellers, said, you need to find one person and stay with them for the rest of your life. If you don't, that's bad. Or there's variations of it. No problem. You can go this way. She goes that way. Everybody's happy. And that's it. Look, we're living with rules that we put on ourselves. So, what is love? Well, if people love each other, fine. It's an emotion that they feel, and they could feel it for many days, many weeks, many months, many years. Nothing wrong with that. But there's other people in the world that don't feel it that long, and they want change. And there's conflict. So let them change. Why all of a sudden we're forcing people to love you for the rest of your life? Who came up with that rule? Nobody but religion, maybe. Why? Well, that's what they taught, and that's the stories they told, and it developed and developed and developed, and people followed, and now people are saying, I don't need religion. I don't need to be in love. I don't need to be married. And why should they be? We can argue all day long, but our world started where people could come and go freely. All they had to do was look for food and shelter when it's cold outside and hold a stick so wild animals don't eat you. So, I mean, all of a sudden we're blowing this out of proportion. What is love? No offense, we're just talking. I love you. Good. Some people accept it. Some people want more. And some people say, oh, I don't love you. And who cares? It's just like any other word. Hello, hi, look at that painting. And some people will look and be moved, and other people will look and not be moved. Come on. This is getting out of hand. I don't have time to look. We're all hurt. We all are hurt. I was hurt. Of course, my emotion to this day, I feel for that wonderful high school girl that I loved. How many years ago was that? About 50, 40. 50. I don't know. But the point is, it's just a word. It's just an emotion. It happened. Move on. Move on. It hurts. I know it hurts. But what are you going to do? Dwell on it for the rest of your. Here's an this was the answer for me. I just thought of it. I was in high school and I was in the States with my father and mother and brothers and sisters visiting my uncle and relatives in East Boston. And I was just hurt. But in a few weeks, we had to leave, and only to return to Greece. And I said, Dad, I'd like to go back home. He said, no problem. No problem. He bought the ticket, put me on a plane, and I could fly out. But I was at the East Boston airport, and there was a counter where you return the rent a car. And Dad drove me to the counter. I got out. Dad left. Why he stopped there, I don't remember. And I happened to walk by the counter, and there was this. I'm just explaining, I mean, no disrespect. There was a lady there, black lady, sitting behind the counter, and she was big. And just for the fun of it, I said, hello. And she said, hello back. And I said, I'm just curious, but Dad has the rent a car and he can return it anytime he wants to. Is that correct? He said, yes, that's correct. He said, is it from Hertz? I said, yes. Okay. Then the next thing I said is, I'm feeling kind of sad. My girlfriend broke up with me. Or that's not really true. Oh, that is true. Let's leave it at that. And you know what she told me that stays with me to this day? And I just thought about it. And after that, okay, I feel I still care, but it helped me. It helped me forget about it. It helped me, push it to the back of the head. You know what she said to me? She said to me, big, get over it. And the sooner you do, the better you will be. I couldn't believe it. Here is an individual I just out of respect wanted to say hello and ask a question. And she told me to get over it. And that's it. Move on. Now, many people don't. Many people do. Many people cause problems. Many don't. There's all kinds of variations. I get it. But look, love. You know, we love our dog. We love our cat. We love the plants that are here right now that I'm looking at. You know, it's a different kind of love. I get it. But it's just an emotion. It's a moment in time when something didn't work out. It hurts because you gave it all, and we move on. But nobody
Yeah.
says life is going to be perfect. It's not. And the next time you love someone, you take away some of that beautiful emotion you give them, and you protect yourself because you don't want to be hurt again. That's normal. That's normal. If you're
Yeah.
in a house if your house catches fire, you're going to be extra careful in the new place that you happen to rent or buy, and you're going to be careful. So it's a different kind of companionship, emotion, love, and you're protecting yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. But nobody in the world said you need to stay with somebody for the rest of your life. This is ridiculous. In the Italy, they're going to pass a law that says you can finally get divorced. And the Catholic Church is very strong in this country and says no. But,
Yeah.
it's inevitable. Why should you be forced to stay with someone if they don't like you or you don't like them?
Exactly. And you said before that that lady, she gave you an advice like, get over, move on. So yeah, move on. Would you like to give us an example how we can move on? Because it's simply
Yeah,
to say move on,
yeah.
but how?
Oh, yeah. Look, when you're driving a car and there's obstacles in your way, other cars, pedestrians, you're not thinking of that love moment or your husband or your wife or the divorce. You're not thinking about it. So occupy your time. If you have nothing to do, you're going to think about the last thing that made you feel sad or maybe something that made you feel happy. People have too much free time on their hands. You go to the gym and lift weights. You're not thinking about your divorce. You're thinking about getting back in shape. You have a business to run. You're thinking about the business. You have a job to do. You're thinking about the job. You're not thinking about the hurt that you experience. And I remember reading somewhere 100 years ago that if you feel something, think about it for a few minutes, maybe, acknowledge it, and then say, I need to move on and move on. So you're in bed, you're thinking about it. Okay, think about it. Now I need to go to sleep, or I need to study, or I need to do, what I mean? Acknowledge it. It took place, move on. It's not easy. Nobody said it's going to be easy, but you're not helping it if you don't occupy your time. Now, that works, at least from my opinion and for me. If it becomes to the point where you need medical help or psychiatry or psychology or whatever, get it. But come on, it was a moment in time. It hurt like hell. How could it happen to me? You gave your all. It happened. Concentrate on your child now.
It's happening.
He'll take up,
Uh,
he'll take up your time. Believe me.
True. But as we said, in everything is a lesson. So life goes on. So we move on. It's okay. Teacher Joe, thank you so much
Yeah.
for,
Yes,
yes. Say it.
Miss Nalutza, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to share my views. I hope I did not talk too long. I happened to see the time in the top left hand corner. I didn't recognize it now, and I'm a referee, and it's shocking that I spoke for 1 hour, 13 minutes.
It was such a pleasure to have you here with us and
You
to
know,
listen
you know,
about you. Yes, tell us.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Nalutza, you radiate beauty. I mean that. You radiate beauty. Your comments are incredible. We can learn from you. And you know what you demonstrate? Other people in our little group that watch you are now sharing their positive thoughts about others. So uh, you could be a saint in the Catholic religion. Keep going.
Oh Jesus!
Well, on the way to
Finally,
sainthood.
someone said this.
I mean, think about it. You know, there are a lot of people that are suffering out there, but if they hear you, you could play a major role in getting them back on track. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you too, Teacher Joe. As I said, it's such a pleasure to have you here and always to listen to your videos, no matter where you are doing the videos, because I'm learning so many things. So what did I learn from you? Is just be busy always. Yeah,
Yeah,
I will always remember these things. Be busy, even maybe, let's say, let's suppose that today maybe my day will not be so wow, but I will remember the words of teacher Joey, how he said, be busy. And his advice he took from his uncle also. So I will always remember, be busy and focus on what you love or whatever you have to do in that day. I have
of
so many
course.
things to talk to you. Maybe we'll talk next time. But for today, I just want to say thank you and God bless you. If you have any message for today, if you want to leave us any message, you are more than welcome.
Ci vediamo. Buona giornata.
Buona giornata. A te. Okay, thank you guys for watching this live stream from today. We had teacher Joe Russo. He's just a special person, and if you truly want to know him, just observe him. You don't have anything else to do, because this is what I did. I just observed him, and I knew he's special. I knew, and I was right. So it's an honor to be in his group. It's an honor to have him as a mentor, as a teacher at the same time. And always I like to say he's a leader, and he is, and he will ever be a leader, and will remain with us. Thank you so much, teacher Joe, and God bless you all. See you next time. Bye bye.